it's hard to hold on when there's no one to lean on. Hey, how you gonna live through the rain? Lord, we gotta keep the faith. Hey.
My passion is my logo, which is changing family dynamics by empowering parents. So I empower you to go home and have a toolbox full of ideas of what to do with your children. We all know the whole get down and make eye contact and be sweet and talk nicely and word it correctly, and you've all heard those things, but nobody tells you what to do when you do that and your child goes in your face or slaps you or still does what he's not supposed to do. And that's where I come in. And I need you to know that I'm not just saying discipline your child. It has to be balanced with a lot of love as well. Okay? But I want to zero in on the practicalities. Just to use what works for you. Don't be intimidated by what other people have done and it's worked for their child. Because your child is unique. Your children are unique. So temperament is something you're born with. I call it a seed, an inner design that's deposited, that's your DNA that makes up who you are. Your personality is something that forms out of that temperament. It's like it gets watered. And your character is the fruit at the top. So when you grow up and you go through all these character building situations, then you develop character at the end. Character is not something you're born with. Personality is what you're born with. You can be a combination of all of them. You can be an extrovert, introvert, or an introvert, extrovert. You can be any combination. And that's why we're all unique, because you can be any percentage combination. So when I talk about a red personality, I'm generalizing with somebody that's 100% red, and you don't find somebody that's 100% red. But to explain to you what a red temperament is, I'm going to do 100% red. So when I describe the 4 different temperaments, you'll probably say, oh, I can see my child in that one, but oh no, but I can see him in that one as well. Alright, so you're usually a strong first one and a second one. But some people are 25% of each one. Rebecca, do you want to say anything about your home visit?
In the last 3 days, my daughter is like a completely different daughter. It's amazing. We haven't had to do the timeout yet, but we've regressed a little bit. She's over 6, but I realised the way I was handling parenting with her was not appropriate. I'm far too relaxed. It worked really well with our eldest daughter, who's just a different personality. And she's a lot older. It didn't work with the little one, and we didn't know. We were kind of looking at each other going, well, we're parenting in the same way. Why is this child different to the other child? Why are the things that we did with the other child not working? And yes, in the last few days there's been no shouting. There's been no anxiety in the morning. And she's gone off on the school bus for the last 3 mornings with no crying.
Yay! Oh, that's amazing! Yeah. That is really amazing. It's a total different thing. You're not controlling them. You're giving them choices. You're not making robots out of them. You're giving them choices, but both options have to be acceptable to you. So if you haven't modeled for 12 years an attitude and a relationship of trust, what are they going to do when they're teenagers? So threats don't work. Setting a bad example. So when I go into homes, that often happens. The one parent is strict and the one parent is soft, and they overcompensate for each other. And that's why they'll say to me, when I'm alone with the child, he's a different child, but as soon as my spouse is with me, it's a different dynamic. That's because when you're alone with your child, you don't overcompensate for your spouse's parenting style. Don't make your focus, you've got to be the best in class. Let them flourish in character. Praise them, that's a whole other talk, praise and encouragement, but praise them for their contribution, for going to all the practices, not for being the best player. You want your child to look up to you so that you can be their mentor. But you don't look up to somebody you don't respect. So you first have to lay a foundation of respect so that your child will turn to you as a mentor. So, none of them are right or wrong. They're all appropriate at different stages of your child's life. Parenting style depends on the example that was set to you and your temperament. Usually the introverts tend to be a bit more laid back and the extroverts tend to be a bit more strict. And then it's influenced by your parenting style that was portrayed to you. That's why you'll go into any home and you'll ask your siblings, how did you experience mom and dad? And you get two totally different feedback of what their parents were like. Did we grow up in the same home? Sometimes a situation erupts and 2 days later you look back on it and you go, oh my gosh, my child was coming down with a fever. That's why he was reacting like that. Or you look back and you go, you know what, actually, I was in a bad mood. I didn't have enough sleep. So, I mean, you know, hindsight is always 20/20, but when you understand this, then maybe in the situation you can do a quick checklist, see this diagram of the house and think, okay, where are we in this situation? Often parents think that they're the only ones that are struggling. And parents will say to me, yeah, but all my friends have got it together. And I said, no, I go into their homes. I know they haven't got it together. At school, you'll find that the introverts are the ones that are bullied. And the extroverts are the ones that bully. So they surround themselves with other kids that will follow them and they go and bully the introverts. And when your child's been bullied and you've only got an introvert, you think, oh. And then you get a second child who becomes a bully, you're like, oh, okay, I won't judge anymore. Because it's not nice having a child that's a bully. So what I want to encourage you is how to build confidence in your child so that your extrovert becomes confident that he doesn't have to bully to get friends or to be something, and an introvert to be confident so that he knows how to handle being bullied. Okay? So what we want to do is encourage the oldest one to be a leader. Now, John Maxwell is a public speaker, and he said that if you think you're a leader and you look over your shoulder and nobody's following you, you're just going for a walk. So we want to create a leader, and a leader is somebody that is respected. It's not a dictator, it's somebody that leads with wisdom. So when we do pecking order at home, then the younger one will respect the older one because we're creating a good leader. So the way I do this is I say, 7 days, there's 7 days in a week. So the leader says, the leader gets to decide on one day of the week that his sibling gets to be the leader. So the leader gets to decide anything that happens in that day. So it could be who barks first. It could be who sets the table. It could be, are we having green beans or broccoli? They were both green. Did you notice that? The choices were both green. What's going to happen is you're going to have an introvert and an extrovert, right? If you have an introvert that's the firstborn, your introvert is not going to be a natural dun-dun leader. This is the way we're going to do things, guys. Right? He's going to be more people-pleasing, stay in the back, doesn't want the attention on them, wants to rather let everybody make decisions for them. So here you're giving him an opportunity 6 days of the week to not boss his sibling around, but to be in charge as a good leader. 3-year-olds are just like a turning point because they understand time, they understand sharing, they understand playing with instead of parallel play. So there's a huge change in 3. And that's what we need to teach our introverts, is that nobody is responsible for his happiness. He's not a victim. He's not a victim. He's in charge of his happiness. But your blue is that sensitive personality. So we don't want to change their personalities. We want to accept them and we want to help them because the flip side of sensitive is touchy. And they wake up in the morning thinking that they're not good enough, nobody loves me. So their favorite thing will be, you don't love me, you love my sister more than me. Is a typical blue comment to make. So there's nothing wrong with being a blue, but we've got to bring them back to reality and teach them that, you know what, it's not going to be perfect, but perfect isn't the only way to be accepted. Plan A is great, but plan B is also okay. So you've got to let them experience disappointment. You're not here to make your children happy, by the way. Did you know that? You're not here to make them happy. Exactly. So if you try and make them happy all the time, I expect other people to make them happy all the time. You're here to build character in your child, not to make them happy. And usually building character is not a happy experience. Relationship, you've got to do fun things with your kids. It's really important because rules without relationship cause rebellion. Rules without relationship cause rebellion. But relationship without rules cause confusion. There's got to be clearly defined rules. Nobody can make you angry. He says, yeah, you should see what he does. He takes my toys. And I'm like, he can try to make you angry. But you choose to get angry and choose not to get angry. That's what boundaries are.
You choose to get angry or not. Nobody can make you sad. Nobody can make you mad. So, guys, you can't tell your child, you make me so mad. No, you choose to get mad. Teach them to manage their emotions. Because we all know adults that cannot manage their emotions. They don't outgrow it. They need to be taught how to do it. And that's your job. It's an awesome job, parenting. And the thing that well, she needs a place where she can go and cry. But the place to cry is not at your feet. She's invading your happiness, your space. So give her a place to cry. Have a nice pillow, like a bean bag, in a room where she can sit with books and say to you, if you feel like crying, it's totally okay, but that's the place to cry. It's okay. And every time she says, you don't love me, then you just say to her, you know, fortunately, I do. And walk away. Don't indulge it, because oftentimes, especially if you're a blue mommy, you get totally attacked by that. And you talk to her about, you know what, I know you're really disappointed when something like that happens, when you don't do your picture perfectly. I know you get disappointed. What can you do when you feel that way? Educate her. Let her realize she's got a choice. Because they don't know. They don't know that they've got a choice of their emotions. So help them to steer that away. It's okay to say no to your child, because you know what? The child needs a contract. Just like when you start a new job, you need a contract. Even when you got married, you had a contract. An understanding of this is the way it's going to be. When a child doesn't have a clear understanding of what the rules in the house are going to be, they are insecure. When a child has predictable consequences, they feel secure. So whatever your consequences are, however wide or small your boundaries are, make it clear and stick to it. Is your attitude negotiable, or is your attitude emphatic? When a child sees your attitude as emphatic, assertive, they go, oh, okay. And they're comfortable. You have to be consistent. Your no needs to be no consistently. So don't say no if you don't mean it. Suck it up. Put your lips together. And that's the trust that you need to build with your child. Because what you're doing is you're setting an example, and all of you know, they copy everything you do. You can speak perfectly for 6 days of the week. You say one swear word, and what do they pick up? Just that swear word. They've got to commit to one thing. So you say to them, don't do 10 activities a week. I had one lady tell me a child had 10 activities a week. He gets up at 9 o'clock at night, so it's 8. So don't overcommit your child's schedule. It's unnecessary. They need to be children. They need to be children. So you can make it a non-negotiable that there's one winter sport and one summer sport that they have to commit to. So you don't force, you make a rule. So my name is Salverson. Not just Super Granny, I do have a name. So my surname is Salverson. So the example would be, in the Salverson's home, we do, in the Salverson's home, we don't just open people's fridges. In the Salverson's home, we respect other people. So you make it a house rule. In our house, we commit to one sport. That's what we do. It's what we do.
Oh, it's a typical boy. He's wild and woolly, and he climbs up on everything, and he's a daredevil. But you know girls like that. Some people say typical girls, they just want to sit and quietly play and, you know, have pretty dresses and nothing, and just sit and they're just sensitive and quiet. But we all know men that are sensitive and introverted. So it's not a boy-girl thing, it's a gender thing. However, there are gender differences. When that Y chromosome hits that little boy or girl, their brains are never the same again. So let's look at some of those differences. Let your husbands be wild with them. They need that input, because that's not what moms do. Moms do careful, and, you know, easy and rocking and that. Let the dads do pillow fights. Let the dads do throwing around. But your key thing is to look at how they react in a new situation. That's one of your biggest things, is when your child comes into a new situation, the introvert usually first checks everything out, looks from the door at all the action going on, and then we'll step in and join in. Your extrovert will run in and go, okay, right, let's start. Here we go, it's time to party. But at home, your introvert will look like an extrovert because when they're in their own environment or at school where they're comfortable, or at granny's house where they're comfortable, then they look like extroverts. But it's how do they respond in a new situation? You're red, they're very active and they've got lots of friends following them, but they don't need friends. They usually have a line behind them because they'll go into a group and go, okay guys, we're not playing it like that. The rules are changing, we're doing it this way. And everybody will be like, okay. So they just they demand the lead as a child. Your greens are become a very quiet student. So they often get misdiagnosed as ADD in school because they're just quiet. But it doesn't mean they're ADD. And the yellows get misdiagnosed as ADHD because they're all over the place. Body is very, it's like saying I'm thirsty and you drink Coke. Well, straight afterwards you're thirsty again. And then you're thirsty again. So your body's going, that was liquid, but it didn't quench my thirst. But drink water and it quenches your thirst. So your body goes, I got it. Alright, so it's the same with any sugar stuff. And your wheat turns into sugar. So your wheat gives you the same spike as sugar. It doesn't matter what you're used to. Remember, breaking habits is easy. It's difficult, but it's quick. It's just a habit. Habits can be broken.
Yeah.
So the child will wake up in the morning with a big smile on their face. And often a blue comes in a bit more subtle. So it's easy to respond happy to the one and sort of serious to the other one.
Tell your children